Well, good morning, everybody. It is 9:30. We're going to go ahead and get started. I am Tammy Clinton, for those of you that don't know me, and I am filling in for Carlita Nelson as she's flying home today. So I am super excited to be with all of you. I love starting our Saturday mornings off with our book club. Such great inspiration comes from plugging into these calls every Saturday, but a lot of personal growth is happening every time you invest in yourself. So congratulations for being the elite, the ones that have chosen yourself this morning to grow and learn more. So today, what we're going to be talking about in our Everyone Communicates and Few Connects, are y'all not enjoying this book? It's been so great, is chapter 6. We're going to be studying chapter 6, so we're going to be teaching out of that this morning. And I've got some amazing ladies that are going to also have some input today on this chapter and how to transfer the information over to our business. If you are a note taker, I typically teach in note-taking format. That's just who I am. It's how my brain works. And so grab your pen and your paper. Let's get down and learn how we can connect to others by connecting on common ground. That's the entire topic to our chapter 6 is connectors connect to common ground. So the first thing that we have to recognize that John, kind of steps on our toes a little bit on is that it's difficult to find common ground with others when the only person that we're focused on is ourselves. People who connect are always searching for common ground when they're in communications in any type of format with others. So when you think about it, when you're out there prospecting, think about the person that you're prospecting and what her background is, and then connect her to a success story that is relatable, that's a connector for her and her life. I know that Carlita shares many times how she came into the business. She used the products for like 10, 12 years, and she saw Martha as a stay-at-home mom. She could not connect to that because she was a medical professional. It wasn't until Martha, in her great wisdom, literally, in all of her great wisdom, she took her to a car presentation of Deanna Herron, who has a medical background. And it was at that car presentation that she literally connected the dots for Carlita, and Carlita then joined the business. So think about that. That was a really good example that came to my mind about connecting on common ground. Now, John, in the book, he starts off the chapter sharing with us the 4 barriers of finding common ground. And these are definitely traps. They're definitely traps that all of us can fall into when we're trying to connect with others. And the first one really kind of hit my gut a little bit too hard because I do this. And I don't know if some of this chapter was like, ouch to you, but this was an ouch to me because I can see where my barriers are in what I'm doing and how I'm prospecting. And so the first one that he talks about is assumption. And boy, do we know that assuming is really bad news in anything in life, right? Even in our marriage relationships, you can't assume anything. But assumption is a barrier. And he talks about what assumption is I already know what others know, feel, and want. So we just make an assumption that we know what they want. And we assume that going into our coffee dates, or we go into our take-a-looks and we're talking to them about the reasons why we started Arbonne. And we're assuming that that's going to be the same reasons why they're going to want to start Arbonne. And we're already off on the wrong start with that prospect. So, for example, you may be talking to them about one of the reasons why you came into Arbonne is so that you could stay home with your kids. Well, the person across the table doesn't even have kids. So how in the world can they feel like that's relatable or that's a connector? It's not. And so we've got to really think about the assumptions that we're making about people. Instead, we really got to get in there and feel very certain that we're getting on common ground, we're connecting, we're being relatable to them, we're asking enough questions that we literally know exactly why they would want to do Arbonne. It's very unwise to make assumptions about others, even if they're close to you, even if it's your sister, even if it's your mother. When you're quick to make those assumptions, guys, you quit paying attention to people and you miss the clues that would otherwise help you to find and reach that common ground with them. We close our mind to learning about them when we're assuming. So that was a big one. And then number 2 was arrogance. And arrogance is just snooty. It's just, I don't need to know. I don't need to know what others know, feel, or want. It's an arrogance. And oh, mercy me, this comes from a person who cares nothing about learning about another person. It really creates a barrier because a person can put that off in their communications to the others, and the others know exactly when you're fake or when you're real, and it really is a bad thing. With the arrogance, they expect everyone else to make an effort to come to them. And arrogance can really come across sometimes even, and this is sad, but even when you're shy and you're a little bit introvert, it can come across as arrogance. You may not mean for that to come across like that at all. But when you're staying in your corner of your comfort zone, off to yourself and being a little bit shy and a little bit withdrawn, you are coming across as snooty. And people think you don't care. And so you get kind of labeled in this arrogance label that people are not going to connect to you. We have to, no matter if we're shy or not. There are people that are national vice presidents that were just deathly shy, couldn't even call in for a pizza. They couldn't even talk to somebody about ordering a pizza over the phone, and they're national vice presidents now. So it doesn't matter your personality style. What we've got to learn, though, is we need to be in a constant state of improving ourselves and becoming the best version of ourselves, whatever that is. And so I think it's true that arrogance can be just a person that truly is kind of a snooty person, but it can also come across as a shy person that's not willing to get out of their comfort zone. That was an ouchie to really hear that. In that kind of format. And then number 3 is indifference. I don't care to know what others know, feel, or want. And this is truly a form of selfishness. Communicators that are indifferent are focused on themselves and on their own comfort instead of extending themselves and finding a way to relate to others. They just don't even give it enough time. They don't care about giving it time. And if you're having a hard time connecting with people because you haven't made the effort to get to know them, then try to care about something in their world. Because when you do that, you get rid of your small selfish desires. Try to care for what is best in thought and action. Look into other people's lives other than just your own, and think about others and all of that. Most people appreciate any effort you make, no matter how small it is, to see from their point of view. You know, one of the biggest lessons I learned early in my business is that when I went to a coffee date, if the person just was not getting it about the business, and I couldn't get them to see the vision of what Arbonne could be for their life, knowing that they needed it, instead of walking away from that appointment feeling like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they won't join my team. I can't believe they won't, and getting upset about them not joining my team. Instead, when you walk away from that appointment in a reflection of, gosh, I feel so sorry for her because she didn't connect herself to what this could do for her. and you make it more about them instead of about you and your own selfish desires of achieving success in Arbonne, you really turn the whole table onto the person and just feel sorry for them. And then if you have somebody in your business that walks away from the business, they quit, they're a quitter, you know, instead of feeling bad that somebody quit you, you look at it as they quit themselves. They quit themselves. And to me, that is very, very sad. And think about it in that way. And then you start the process of truly feeling a little bit less selfish and more into what that person's needs are, or what they're missing in their life. And then the last barrier that he talks about is, and this is number 4, is control. And this is where a person is like, I don't want others to know what I know or what I feel or what I want. We've got to understand that good leaders are always great communicators, and they inform people in what's going on, and they include them as best they can in decisions that are being made. And when you get buy-in from people on your team or in your family, then it's going to make the whole process work a lot better, instead of you just always taking the control and always doing it. Get leadership buy-in, get team buy-in, get your family's buy-in. And know that leaders will always go first and will always explain why and the reasons behind it and for it. It not only helps to understand the purpose, but it also allows them to be a part of it. Raising 3 boys, I often had to take this stance. Instead of forcing my plan upon their life, I had to share with them and explain to them in different scenarios the why behind what I was trying to teach them or tell them. Had to tell them and teach them the why, explain it a little bit more so I could get their buy-in in that regard. So these are principles, guys, that I love so much about Arbonne and about book clubs, is that everything is relatable to your Arbonne business, but it's also relatable to your parenting and all of that. So now that we went through those barriers in chapter 3, I think we can all agree that his point in this chapter is that we need to cultivate a common ground mindset. That's the whole emphasis behind this. We need to cultivate a common ground mindset. Connecting with others is a choice, and it's something that we can all learn. So there's 8 key points that John highlights in the book to help us to increase our odds of connecting with others. And this is something, guys, that you're going to have to choose every single day of your life. He brings a blueprint to life, literally to follow, to find common ground with people. And so this is where I'm going to have a little bit of participation within my own team. So I'm going to highlight some of my leaders in my team, and they're going to share some transitions from the points he's making to how it applies to their business. But the first one is availability. And he says availability. I will choose to spend time with others. Availability. And so what does that mean? That means that it has to be intentional. We have to stay engaged. We have to make ourselves available by doing things that show the gift of time to other people around us. So in parenting, you know, if I wanted to spend and get on common ground with my boys, even though I'm a female, I had to go to all the Marvel movies, all the action-packed movies. I had to get on common ground with what they liked to be able to spend time with them and to continue that process of engaging a relationship with my sons. So you can think of it like that, or tossing a football in the yard with them. But also in your business, what that means, availability, is giving the gift of time to other people around you and to people on your team. So what does that look like? Setting with a brand new person that you have started in your business or that's within your success line, and help them get their calendar full. Give them the gift of you. Give them the gift of time. Give them the gift of success. We all know that without a full calendar, they're not going to go very far. So we want to give them that gift of being able to help them get their calendar full. We want to also give them the gift of time and partnering with them in some of their activities while they're getting trained and so forth. In our presentations, we want to give our audience the gift of time by being the very last person that leaves that presentation. We want to make ourselves available. And this, I'll tell you, when your team knows that they can always count on you to be available to them, that is going to be a leadership quality that is going to bless and flourish your team beyond what you can imagine, is being able to have that reputation of being available. Number 2 is listening. I will listen my way to common ground. This is simply by us just paying attention to others. Anytime you're willing to listen to others and figure out how the thing you're offering feels their needs, you have found a way to reach common ground. So Lisa Usselton, you're really good at this one. Can you share with us how you apply listening to your business?
Yes, thank you, Tammy. I think that this is one of the top 5 things that I've learned, that I'm thankful for, that I've learned in Arbonne, that I thought I was pretty good at. And having 6 children, you know, I thought I had this down. But in Arbonne, you learn so many skills, and I would say that I always thought that I listened to people. But then, you know, you learn as you go, and you do all these book clubs, and I realized that I became intentional on realizing that I really wasn't listening to people. I was going out and telling people about Arbonne, and then I would go on to find that I was telling them and not really listening to their needs. And once I started learning the skill of asking more questions, and then basically what I started doing in my mind is, this is kind of a weird thing, but I would pretend that I would like put my hand over my mouth after I would ask a question, and not really, you know, I wouldn't be at Starbucks, you guys, like this, but in my mind I would ask the question and then not say anything. And that's really hard for blondes, you guys, not to just keep on talking. But I would just say, you know, oh, so, you know, what do you do, instead of, and then another thing, when you're a mom, you always want to pull out your phone, you know, at the baseball game, and, you know, show your kids pictures. You know, instead of me doing that, I started, you know, asking, hey, you know, show me your baby, or show me your kids. You know, and that's really hard, because what you said a while ago is we're so you know, people want to talk about themselves. And so if you want to build your business, be intentional on listening and asking questions, and that's how you're going to build Tenation. And that's what he talks about on there, is in the book, he talks about that it's kind of like one of those games, hot and cold, and that's in the chapter, you know, over here, hot and cold. And so you're basically just listening to people, and that's what you have to do, is quit doing this. And people are always asking for Arbonne, you guys, if we will just stop doing this all the time. You know, and I've learned too that you don't have to always know about all the products. You know, people are always, I've sat on the airplane before and coming back from GTC and listen to people behind me, you know, telling people about the products, when, you know, if you would just listen to people don't go to bed worrying about their skin. They go to bed at night worrying about money and their financial. If you'll just listen, people are asking you. So, you know, Rita Davenport always used to say, you know, people have 2 ears and 1 mouth, you know, for a reason. So that's what I would say, you guys, is just, and you have to practice. This is a skill, you know, it is a skill, because I find myself knowing, just even as a friend, and I'll close with this, just even as a friend or with my children, I'll find myself knowing when I walk away from them going, you know what, I did not listen. And so it's a skill that even though Tammy says, you know, you're good at this, it's taken me practice. So that's what I would say, is you guys just, it takes practice. So thanks, you guys.
Thanks, Lisa. All of these points that John brings out, I've noticed, are very intentional. We have to be very intentional. Just like Lisa says, she has to work on this all the time. But listening is just about connecting dots from one person to our business. And it does take skill set, but we can get really good and learn really good skills in doing that. So the third thing he talks about is questions. I will be interested enough to offer to others to ask questions, is what he says. Larry King actually says that asking questions is the secret of any good conversation, being curious about everything. And he said that his favorite question is to ask why. If you hear somebody saying that they're changing jobs, say why. If you hear somebody say they don't like their job, say why. And that just will start the conversation. We've got to remember also there's a formula he uses to help himself to engage in questions. And it's called FORM, form. And it stands for family, occupation, recreation, and message. And when we ask questions centered around these topics, it's amazing how you can learn so much about that person. Lauren Fisher, how do you apply this to your business?
So I think that asking questions is something that it's so important. And I think most of us in Arbonne, we know about that because we're always taught that, like, don't be interesting, be interested. And so that is a huge part of that, just asking questions instead of just listening to people and, just like Tammy said, assuming that you know what they're talking about, or not really listening, like Lisa was talking about, but just using that to connect with them. And really, I think what asking questions does is it makes people feel important, that you are interested in them. And there was a documentary one time on Oprah Winfrey, and she talks about, she's interviewed hundreds, maybe thousands of people over the course of her huge, long career. And she said there's one question that every single person asks at the end of every single interview. She said, without fail, every single person, from, people that nobody knows all the way up to the most famous, presidents and actors and all of that, every single one without fail has asked this question. And it's, how did I do at the end of it? Somebody who's like a professional at talking and doing interviews and stuff, they even ask it, how did I do? And she said that tells you right there that people just want to be validated. They want to know that they've done a good job. They want to know that you think they're important, that what they've said you think is important. And so that shows you right there, how important asking questions is, because it makes the other person feel important. And of course, it connects you with them because they can trust you at that point, because they know that you're really interested in what they're saying. And so, like Tammy said, you can say why, and just, sorry about coughing kids here. You can just say why to everything and just act ignorant. I think sometimes people talk about something and then we can say, oh yeah, and then insert what we know about that and think that that is connecting to people. But really, it kind of makes us look a little bit arrogant because, we're pretending or acting like we know it all. And so just asking why and playing the ignorant card. And what I like to do, because I used to ask people all the time, like, what do you do for fun? Or tell me about you. And what I've kind of found is that nobody knows how to answer that. People, even though they like to talk about themselves, we're so busy. A lot of people don't have a hobby, or they don't really ever take time to do anything fun for themselves. And so they don't even know how to answer that. And so when I ask, tell me about you, or what do you do for fun? It's just kind of awkward because they don't even say anything. They don't know what to say. And so I love, what we've been taught in Arbonne to say, if you could change 3 things, or even one thing about your life, or about the way you look and feel, that's a direct question that people are so good at answering that, because they know, like, that's what they're thinking about all the time, is what they would change about their life and about their health or whatever. So that's kind of some stuff that I found, but just make people feel important, and questions are a great way to do that.
That is awesome. Everybody wants to feel special, no doubt. Number 4 is thoughtfulness. I will think of others and look for ways to thank them. And basically what this meant to me was just to be a blessing to other people, make them feel special, make them feel important, make them smile. You know, some ways that you can actually demonstrate this in your business is, you know, sending birthday cards to your clients or to your consultants, having a client appreciation night, commenting on social media. To the different things that are going on in their life. That is showing common ground. That's showing that you are thinking about them. If you know they're going through a situation, just a small line that says, I'm praying for you and your family. Do you even know the value in that when people come and rally to somebody who has a problem or a situation in their life, and to know that they've got people standing in the gap praying for them, or just commenting on social media for their birthday. I mean, it's an act that doesn't take very long, but it really does make them feel so special. If you think about it, being thoughtful is just finding ways to be very, very kind. Number 5 is openness. I will let people into my life. And connection, he teaches in this, requires both parties to engage and be open. Lisa Caker, how do you demonstrate this in your business? I think you might have to take your phone off mute.
There we go. Can you hear
There
me
you
now?
go. Yes, we sure
Okay.
can.
Can you see me?
Yes.
You can? Okay. I can't see me on here, so I hope I'm not doing strange things. But yes, my topic is openness, and it says, I will let people into my life. And so, as others have already touched on, that's a very intentional thing that we have to be willing to do. I've actually been really convicted through this chapter, because it's so easy to get into a just a quick, I'm in a hurry mindset, whether you're at the grocery store or wherever we are in social settings, and just try to rush through. And so I am just really convicted that we have to be willing to, as John Maxwell said earlier in the book, walk through the crowd. No, don't skirt around the edges, but we have to, like everyone has touched on, ask questions, listen, but we have to find common ground. So the root of communication is common. And so just, I think I'm developing this and learning again all over. So it's really hard for me to say how I have applied it, because it is a skill set that has to be developed, and you know, through the asking questions and finding common ground, and then listening and not talking. And I do love in Arbonne that we do have the questions to ask about what would you change about your, you know, health, your skin care, your skin health, your nutrition health. That's a way to, you know, when you get to that point, to engage with others, because we as women are all concerned about that. And but we just have to, like Lisa touched on and Lauren touched on, we have to engage the other person, be open to let them into our life. And as I'm repeating myself, but it's something I'm developing. And you know, my page ends with, connection always requires both parties. And so just
awesome.
Find
it's
out
almost all of them wrapped into one, Lisa,
Yeah.
on openness, your listening, your questions, all of that. So thank you for that. And it is, I believe it is a skill set we're going to continue to build on and grow in. And we probably will never be perfect in this, not until the day we get called home, but we're all going to be working on this together. Number 6 is likability. I will care about people. If people like you, they're going to listen to you. And if they don't, they won't. And the thing he says is, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And how do you demonstrate this in your business? Well, you demonstrate this, guys, by your first impression. It is so important to have such a powerful first impression to somebody. Call out their first name. There's nothing sweeter to somebody than somebody to say their name. Be genuine, be sincere. Be focused on them when you're talking to them. Don't dart your eyes across the room when they're talking to you. Have your eyes focused on that person. There's so many different aspects that go into the likability. But if you'll just think about likability as showing care and showing concern to somebody, that's where it is. Number 7 is humility. I will think of myself less so that I can think of others more. And I will tell you, a humble leader, and this is who we all need to strive to be in our business. A humble leader will choose to consider the needs of others in fulfilling any type of worthy cause. A humble leader will also bring out the best in others. They focus is on their purpose, contribution, their ability to set out and accomplish something. Humility is what raises people up so that they can be praised. Humility is all about impacting others, but also talking about your successes, but also talking about your failures. Humility means 2 things. It's the capacity for self-criticism. And then John says the second is allowing others to shine, affirming others, empowering, enabling others. And basically it's like this: admit your weaknesses and be patient with others' weaknesses. Be open to correction and point the spotlight on others. Sherry Brown, how do you do this in your business?
Well, I remember early on my mother teaching me humility. I was thinking about this when you gave this topic to me. I can remember her saying, don't get too big for your britches. And I'm sure that was when I was acting like I knew more than anybody else in the room. And it's funny how life has a way of making you humble sometimes and bringing you to your knees. And in this business, you will never do anything on your own. All of your success will come from those on your team, your leaders. So one thing that I did learn early on, especially when you get a promotion, always spotlight your team. You did that with your team. That came as a team success. We're so fortunate, and I just have to highlight our founder in this business, because this company was founded by a very humble but yet highly motivated and visionary man. And the culture that he created was built on choosing to consider the needs of others and fulfilling a worthy cause. And that is really what we need to focus on at all times, is fulfilling the needs of the others on our team and focusing together to create that cause to make the world a better place. In the beginning, each of us start this business for our own personal needs. It's all about, what can Arbonne do for me? What can it do for my family? What can it, do just to help me? But again, in our business, we need to always focus on others. I'm sorry, something popped up. Why is Eunice Ray on my screen? Does anybody know? Nobody sees that but me. Okay. But being a humble leader will always bring out the best, like Tammy said, in each person on your team, because when you focus on their purpose and their contribution and their ability to become all they can be, then you yourself will become successful in this business. I remember a team member on my team saying one time, all I want from this business is to spend a summer at home with my girls. It just makes me cry. And that hit home. I thought, if I can help her accomplish that, that's more than any paycheck that Arbonne will ever be able to give me, because that's about her family. And then I also remember Lisa Esselton telling me when I promoted to RVP, she handed me those keys and she said, this is exciting for you, but I cannot even begin to tell you what it means to me to be able to hand those to you. So I think we just need to always remember in this business that it's always going to be about lifting others up and raising them to meet their goals and their success. So humble leaders know that if you want to truly impact the lives of others, then it's going to be about their success and not your own. And it's going to be about empowering them. So in this business, never be afraid to admit your weaknesses, or talk about your failures. I think we learn so much by admitting our weaknesses and our failures to other people. And then be open to correction. Never, ever be afraid to admit you were wrong. And let each member on your team shine. When it's time, when it's time to let them shine, lift them up in every way possible that you can. And then when you do so, and you're using your strength to benefit others and have contributed to a much higher cause and fulfillment than Petter's vision of what he saw so many years ago to make this world a better place is going to happen at one person at a time. And then it's so funny because I can't help but think of the song "Be Humble and Kind," and I'll just end it with this by saying, hold the door, say please, say thank you, don't steal, don't cheat, and don't lie. I know you got mountains to climb, but always stay humble and kind. When those dreams you're dreaming come to you, when the work you put in is realized, let yourself feel the pride, but always stay humble and kind.
That's awesome. Number 8, our last one, is adaptability. I will move from my world to others. And guys, to move to others, we must first be willing to move ourselves to where they're at. We must adapt to others. And anytime you are aware of a gap between you and the people you're trying to connect, it's very likely because you need to move to where they are. So Katy Perry, how do you apply this last principle to your business?
Good morning, everybody. I'm dealing with a sinus infection, so sorry for my voice. But adaptability is a huge thing, no matter if it's in Arbonne or if it's in everyday life. One thing that is certain in life is change. One thing you can always count on, no matter what time of day it is, no matter what time of year it is, there's always going to be change. And I know for me and my business, I'm a mom of 2 and I own a business, but most of the people my age don't even have kids yet. So, whenever I started Arbonne, it was more of, okay, I have 2 young kids. I need to stop working so much. I need to spend more time with my children and still bring my passion to light, which is helping people. And no one can relate with that in my world. I don't have very many friends that have kids. I'm not surrounded by a whole lot of people with kids. So, just like Tammy started the conversation with, you can't say that at a table and the person across from you not have kids, and they basically can relate with that. So for me, it's been just like what he says in the book, is that in order for you to grow, you have to meet people where they're at. It kind of brings everything together, the listening, not being ignorant, being humble, all to one with adaptability, because you have to tie all of those things together to be adaptable. It's not something that's easy. A lot of people do not handle change well. That is completely normal. Change is hard. Change requires you to be out of your comfort zone. And guys, this business takes you getting out of your comfort zone. It does not take you sitting on your couch and just being comfortable with where you're at, reaching out to your family, reaching out to your friends. This takes you getting out of your comfort zone, driving to your car, doing events, doing different things that you are not comfortable doing. This is something that I deal with on a daily basis. I think I say it every day in my classes. I'm a fitness instructor. So I'm like, all right, guys, change doesn't happen in your comfort zone. You got to push a little deeper, go a little harder. And that same mentality is applied in everything, but especially in this type of business, because if it was easy, everybody would do it. It's that simple. If it was easy, everybody would be on this call right now. Everybody would be driving a white Mercedes, but it's not easy. And that's what makes us different. And that's what, is going to make us take that extra step to be adaptable in order to change. So that's where I'm at. And I hope that all of this stuff have helped y'all. And I know it's the Friday before Christmas, and you probably have or Saturday before Christmas, and you have a ton of stuff going on. So power to you for hopping on this call. And I hope that y'all have a very Merry Christmas. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, Katy. The bottom line to this chapter as we wrap up, guys, is just putting others first. Know what they dream about, know what they sing about, know what they cry about. And in summary, who are we in Arbonne? We're BBs, business builders, right? We're BBs. Well, there's another word that really highlights who we are. We're not just BBs. We're bridge builders. What bridge are you willing to build with others that will close the gap on what they can get from this business. 30 years ago, Nita Irwin was a BB. She was a bridge builder. She said yes to this business. Because of that yes, she's been building bridges for 30 years. She literally has, over the 30 years, afforded mamas to stay home with their kids, dads to retire early, memorable family vacations, adoptions of children, water in Africa, orphanages in Guatemala, homes built in Haiti, children being fed in Haiti. She has been a bridge builder, a BB, helping people connect the dots to their life in Arbonne, allowing them to build the bridge for other people and to build the bridge to the life that they desire. Bottom line is we all need to be a lifer to the purpose of being a bridge builder for others in this business. When you stay in this business and you collect the years, your legacy of your yes is going to impact so many other lives. This is a difference maker. We are a difference maker in today's world because we've chosen a profession that allows us to bring out God's greatest potential in us and focus on other people doing his greatest commandment, loving others, and then becoming that bridge builder to help them get what they need for their life, their family, their future, all while we're doing the same for ours. I love each and every one of you. Thank you so much for joining the book club today. Merry Christmas. And remember that abundance is always chasing ya. Love you guys. Thanks so much for joining.